Willard puts it this way: God will let anyone into heaven who can stand it.
Yeah.
And that sounds so like, well, of course, who wouldn't choose it? You want the nice place or the bad place? But C.S. Lewis seems to play on that thought quite a bit. The idea that people really are making their choices, and it's not like God is arbitrarily mean, but he's honoring our choices.
Yeah. And the Great Divorce, he has this whole metaphor where people step off the bus in heaven, and some of them love the green grass and the beautiful warm sunshine, and others find the grass harsh and prickly because they're not material enough to actually stand on it, and it just feels painful, and the sun is beating down so hot, and it's the same exact location, just different people. One finds it to be heaven, one finds it to be hell.
I think of descriptions of God as a consuming fire, which on the one hand sounds horrible, but you think of the descriptions of the New Jerusalem,
right?
Because God is providing the light. He is the light, and I think where Lewis is getting is that beautiful light to some is maybe that's the eternal fire to others. It's like, this is horrible for me. Please let me go to where it's not so bright. The outer darkness.
This is one of the clearest parables that Jesus talks about hell and heaven in. He's trying to create the scenario like C.S. Lewis does with the people on the bus, where he can illustrate something about the nature of heaven and hell. So I guess my caution on this is it's a very visual parable. I don't know that it's meant to be literal every word.
Like the rest of Jesus's parables, they're stories to make a point, and the point is there is a reality that it's pointing to, but it's using imagery or parable to make the point.
Exactly. Yeah. So what's the deep reality that he's getting to? So here's the parable. It says, there was a rich man who dressed in purple and fine linen, and who feasted sumptuously every day. But at his gate lay a poor man named Lazarus, whose body was covered with sores, who longed to eat what fell from the rich man's table. In addition, the dogs came and licked his sores. Now the poor man died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. And in Hades, interesting that this is the other word that's used for hell, is borrowing from the Greek in this place. As he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far off with Lazarus at his side. And so he called out, "Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in anguish in this fire." But Abraham said, "Child, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, and Lazarus likewise bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in anguish. Besides all this, a great chasm has been fixed between us, so that those who want to cross over from here to you cannot do so, and no one can cross from there to us." So the rich man said, "Then I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers, to warn them so that they don't come to this place of torment." But Abraham said, "They have Moses and the prophets. They must respond to them." And then the rich man said, "No, Father Abraham, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent." And he said, "If they do not respond to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead." There's something about this parable that immediately catches their attention, and that's who winds up in Hades and who winds up by Abraham's side. And Jesus is saying there's going to be a reversal. The things that you had in this life actually have the potential to set you back from the eternal, right? What did this poor guy do to deserve going to heaven? It didn't say he did anything. It didn't say he prayed a prayer. It didn't say he accepted anything. All it says is he received bad things on earth. But he's comforted here. He wants you to say, wait, I actually have things pretty good. What am I doing with that? The rich man, who is never named, what does he want? It's the oddest request to me, because he's trapped here in anguish, and he says, if you could just send someone to serve me, right? If you could just send someone to give me just the tiniest little bit of service. Well, could you send him to serve my brothers then? He's not getting this, right? He's had servants his whole life. He's still somehow expecting that in this fire. And Abraham's, on the other hand, is comforting Lazarus and is like, yeah, no, he's good, man. So there's this interesting expectation here where the rich man doesn't even try to get out. He just wants what he had on earth here as well.
It's weird to me that that on the one hand, there's this great distance between the two, and yet they're close enough to where they can have a conversation. And either that's just bad storytelling, or maybe that's hitting on a dual reality as well. This chasm seems to indicate that that it's not bridgeable, and maybe the chasm is the character of the person, like you're describing here, that he still wants to be served, as opposed to, sorry, God's a real stickler for rules, and you don't get to come now.
If we imagine, if I were God, I wouldn't want to send anyone to hell, right? But what if, I think we've all been in a relationship at some point, whether it's lover, friend, or something, where someone just did not choose you, right? They chose to do things that were actually actively hurtful, and you had to set boundaries. You had to say, well, I would like you in my life, but I can't have you in my life if you are just destroying all my stuff and you're, waking me up in the middle of the night and don't even care, right? Like that, you gotta put some distance there. Jesus is trying to get us to understand that the things that we think are important and want to hold on to tightly are maybe the very things that we have to let go of to receive his blessing, right?